Hello. Today we're going to talk about the metric system of capacity, but before we begin, we're going to review multiplying and dividing by multiples of 10 or powers of 10. Let's go over the first one together, and then we'll allow you to do the next three at your seats. So the first one, we have 923 times 100. There's many ways to do this problem. The first one is take 923 times 1 first, which is 923. And then just add on your two zeros because we're multiplying. So you get 92,300. Another way to think about this problem is taking 923, and let's place a decimal point where it should belong. That would be after the ones place, so right here. And since we're multiplying by 100, we need to move our decimal 2 spots because there's 2 zeros in 100. And again, this only works for multiples of 10, like 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000. So again, move it 2 spots to the right because there's 2 zeros in 100. 1, 2, and fill these empty spots with zeros. We get 92,300. Knowing these two ways to do this problem, let's have you do the next three problems at your seats. So please get out a piece of paper or a whiteboard and erase marker and do the next three at your seats. Please pause the video to allow time for this. All right. So let's look at the next one, 51 hundredths times 1,000. Since there's already a decimal in this problem, let's go ahead and move the decimal to solve this problem. So we have 51 hundredths, and we have 1, 2, 3 zeros and 1,000. And since we're multiplying, we need to move to the right. So take your decimal, move it 3 spots to the right, 1, 2, 3 spots, and fill in this empty spot with a 0. So your answer is, this 0 is not important. So your answer is 510. All right, for the next one, 921 divided by 1,000. This one's division, so it's a little different. Let's concentrate on moving the decimal. So we have 921, and your decimal point belongs right here behind the ones place. How many spots will you move the decimal in this problem? Well, since there's 2 zeros in 100, you move 2 spots. You're going to move it left because it's a division problem. So let's move your decimal 2 spots to the left. 1, 2. We get 9 and 21 hundredths. The final problem is 5 tenths divided by 1,000. And again, we have 5 tenths. We have 1 0 and 10. So 5 tenths divided by 10, we need to move the decimal 1 spot to the left. And we get 5 hundredths. As we talked about today, we're going to learn about the metric units. A metric unit is another way to measure the length, the mass, which is kind of like the weight, and capacity of something. Who uses the metric system? To you, this might not be very familiar because we don't usually talk about the metric system here in America. We use the customary system. But the rest of the world basically uses the metric system along with branches of science. So if you go to any other country, your road signs won't be miles per hour. It'll be kilometers per hour. Your medicine's a little different. Anything that you have to measure liquid won't be measured in normal units like you're used to, like gallons. It'll be measured in metric units, like liters. And as talked about a little bit ago, science uses the metric system. Whenever you deal with science, you always use the metric system. And that includes medicine as well. So here are your two metric units of capacity. We have milliliters, which is your smallest metric unit of capacity. Then we have liters, which is a lot bigger than a milliliter. In fact, 1,000 milliliters equals 1 liter. And these are the only two we're going to talk about today. So let's talk about a milliliter then. A milliliter is the smallest unit to measure capacity in the metric system. If you were to drop a drop of water out of a pipette or an eyedropper, that drop would equal 1 milliliter. So here's a pipette, and this drop would equal 1 milliliter. This drop would also equal about 1 milliliter, and this drop would equal also about 1 milliliter. Now you might notice these drops are kind of different sizes. It's about 1 milliliter, so it's not exact. It's like an estimate. And then a liter. You guys probably know of liters as in a 2-liter bottle of pop. So a liter consists of 1,000 milliliters, as we talked about earlier. And we use liters a lot when we buy pop. So here's a bottle of Pepsi, and the whole bottle is worth 2 liters. So therefore, if you cut it in half right here, everything below is 1 liter, everything above is 1 liter. And now we have our metric staircase. Our metric staircase is what we use in order to solve metric unit problems, or we need to convert inside the metric system. So please, at your seats, take out a piece of paper and draw this along with me. So as always, it is 7 steps. So you have 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps, 4 steps, 5 steps, 6 steps, 7 steps. And by now you should know how to draw it. Your base unit you're using today and the capacity is liters, so please put liter on the 1, 2, 3 on the 4th step. And the only other thing you need for today is you need milliliter on the bottom step. There is a centiliter, but we're not talking about it, and there is a kiloliter, but we're also not talking about that as well. Remember, when you go down the metric staircase, you're going to multiply by powers of 10. When you go up, you're going to divide by powers of 10. And each step is worth 1 power of 10. So we're going to use this today. Please copy yours exactly like mine. All right. So remember the big to small multiply and small to big divide? We're going to use that exact same thing today, and that's kind of like going up and down your metric staircase. So we have 6 liters equals blank milliliters. We're just going to do these problems just watching me, and we'll do something together here soon. So liter is much bigger than a milliliter. So we're going from big to small on this first problem, which means we have to multiply. Now if you look back, we're starting at liter. We got 6 of them. We're starting at liter, and we have 6 of them. And we need to go down to milliliter. So we have to go down 1, 2, 3 steps. So we have to multiply by 10 to the third. So here, we need to multiply by 10 to the third to figure out your milliliters. What number does 10 to the third actually equal? 10 to the third equals 1,000. So we basically need to take 6 times either 1,000 or 10 to the third. It doesn't matter. Let's just take it times 1,000 right now. 6 times 1,000 is 6,000. So 6 liters equals 6,000 milliliters. And don't worry, boys and girls, we'll get this. I know it might be kind of confusing right now, but we'll get this. All right, your next one is also almost the same. 4 liters equals blank milliliters. Again, liters are big. Milliliters are small. Going from big units to small units, we need to multiply. Going back to your metric staircase again. It's the exact same thing, boys and girls. Exact same thing. Here now we have 4 liters. We need to figure out how many milliliters that is. And every step is worth 1 power of 10. So this is 10 to the first, 10 to the second, 10 to the third. Another way to think of it is multiplying by 10, multiplying by 100, multiplying by 1,000. Same thing. So we have to multiply it by 1,000 in order to get down to milliliters. So we have to multiply by 1,000. 4 times 1,000 is 4,000. It's that easy. All right, now we got 7,000 milliliters equals blank liters. So now we're going from small units to big units, which means we have to divide 7,000 milliliters to liters. So, on our metric staircase again, we're going to start here on our liters. We have 7,000 of them. Or start on milliliters, we have 7,000 milliliters. And we need to go up to the liter. So we got to go up is divide. So divide by 10, divide by 100, divide by 1,000. So we have to divide by 1,000. Or you can think of it as divide by 10 to the first, divide by 10 to the second, divide by 10 to the third, which 10 to the third equals 1,000. Because remember, it's just a 1 with 3 zeros. So here, 7,000 divided by 1,000 is just 7. Boom. Now this next one might look a little harder because it's only 42 milliliters. So going back to our metric staircase, we have 42 milliliters, and when you get up to liters. So again, going up is division. Divide by 10 to the first, divide by 10 to the second, divide by 10 to the third. Or again, you can think of it as divide by 10, divide by 100, divide by 1,000. Either way you want to think of it. So we have 42 divided by 1,000. So we need to take our decimal, which is right here. See, I placed it to the right of the ones place. Move it 3 spots to the right. 1, 2, 3. And what goes in this empty spot? A 0. So we have 42 thousandths is our answer for our liters. Any questions on these 4 problems, boys and girls, please ask the sub now. I'm sure they can explain it very well. So, again, here's your metric staircase. Remember, you multiply going down, you divide going up, and each step is worth a multiple of 10, or a power of 10, however you want to explain it. We're going to do some of these together now. So for number 5, we are going from liters to milliliters. So we're going from big units to small units. So go ahead and write this on your paper with me. All right. And since you're going from big to small, you're multiplying. So go back to your metric staircase. We have 70 liters. We need to get down to milliliters. We need to get down to here. So we need to multiply. We need to multiply by 10 to the third, which is the same thing as 1,000. So you multiply by 1,000. So 70 times 1,000. 70 times 1 is 70. Add 1, 2, 3 zeros. You get 70,000. Any questions on that one? All right, we're going to do this next one kind of together. I'm going to pause along the way to allow you to answer questions. So your first question is, are we going from small to big or big to small? We're going from small to big. That's exactly right. So that means we are going to be dividing. So go back to your metric staircase. We have 10 milliliters. And we need to go divided by. Boys and girls, who can explain what we have to divide it by? Please pause the video. Yes, we need to divide by 10 to the third power, or 1,000. So 10, put your decimal point right here. We need to move it 3 spots to the left. 1, 2, 3. And a 0 goes here. So we get 10 thousandths. And the very last one, let's have you try it yourself. Please pause the video to allow time to do it yourself. All right, we're going from big to small. So we have to multiply. We have 6 and 21 hundredths. And we have to multiply by 10 to the third, or 1,000. Move your decimal 1, 2, 3 spots. And we get 6,210.